Hi, this is Krista at the Secret Yarnery. Today we are going to make this gorgeous Speedy Granny Ruth rainbow scarf. You're going to love this pattern so much. It's a super simple one-row repeat and no ends to sew in. Plus, you don't have to crochet super long rows because the tassels add about 12 inches of length. It's a great stash buster and looks fantastic in any color combination. It also has no holes, so it makes a really great gift for all the friends in your life that don't like holes in their crochet. And if you'd like to follow along with the written pattern, it's available over on my website, secretyarnery.com. And you don't have to worry about being able to read a pattern. All of my patterns are written in plain English, just like I'm speaking in this video. The finished size of my scarf is 62 inches long by 7 inches wide. My tassels are approximately 6 inches long, so the finished size with tassels, 74 inches or 187 centimeters. To make your Speedy Granny Ruth rainbow scarf, you will need 5 different colors of yarn and also a neutral. You will need an 8mm crochet hook for your starting chain, a 7mm crochet hook for your scarf, 8 stitch markers, a pair of scissors, and absolutely no needle. So let's get started. To make the Speedy Granny Ruth scarf, you will need your yarn and your stitch markers and your larger hook. So I'll be using an 8mm crochet hook for the chain. So you want to start by leaving a long enough tail that you can use for your tassels. So maybe about 7 inches, and make a slip knot any which way you normally do. Shrink that down and pop it onto your hook. So we're going to chain in sets of 20. So chain 20. 1, 2, 3, 19, and 20. You'll see your pretty little V's, so just kind of hold your thumb softly on the top of those V's and roll that chain to the side. And you will see these bumps along the back, these little camel bumps. These are your back loops, and we want to put 1 stitch marker into that back loop that's right underneath our working yarn, this loop right here. So slide a stitch marker into that back loop of the chain you just made, your 20th chain, and chain 20 more. 1, 2, 3, 19, and 20. Now do the same thing, your thumb gently on the top of those pretty V's, and just roll it to the side. Look for that back loop or the camel bump right underneath your working yarn, right here, and slide in a stitch marker. And you want to keep going, making your sets of 20 and popping in a stitch marker until all 8 of your stitch markers are used. And if you'd like to make your scarf a different length, you can make yours any multiple of 4. So pause the video and I'll meet you back when you've used up all your stitch markers. When you have used up all of your stitch markers or chained 160, take that larger hook out, go back to your smaller hook, and chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. And we also want to be working into our back loops. So you see your pretty little V's. We want our V's facing up. Just rest your thumb on the top of those V's softly and turn it to the side. And now you will see these loops at the back, or these camel bumps. The first one is right underneath the working yarn. It's hiding right underneath the working yarn. So there is 1, 2, 3. Number 4 is right where our stitch marker is. So we're just going to go underneath that one back loop. So wrap your yarn and into the 4th chain from your hook, the 4th back loop. Just go in and make 1 double crochet. And you can take that stitch marker out if it's in your way. And into the next back loop right here, this next stitch, the next chain, 1 double crochet. Chain 1, skip 1. So we're going to skip the next back loop. We're skipping this one. We're going to go into the second back loop. We're going to make 1 double crochet. So for this row, we're doing sets of 3 double crochets, chain 1, skip 1. So we're going to go into the next 2 back loops. So we're going to make a double crochet here and another double crochet here. So sets of 3. So into the next chain, the next back loop, 1 double crochet. And into the next back loop as well, 1 double crochet. So there is our set of 3 double crochets. Now we're going to chain 1 and skip 1 and do another set of 3. So if we roll that chain to its side, our next back loop is right here. We're going to skip that one, and we're going to work into the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 4th. 1 double crochet into each of those chains. So skip 1 and working into the 2nd, 1 double crochet, into the next, 1 double crochet, and into the next, 1 double crochet. So we're going to repeat that all the way along this row. So chain 1, skip 1, and 1 double crochet into each of the next 3 chains. So there's our first double crochet, our second double crochet, and our 3rd double crochet. So you can pause the video and keep doing that all the way along your chain, and I'll meet you when you get closer to the end. At the end of your chain, you'll have 2 chains left. So that is going to be our chain 1, skip 1. So chain 1, skip 1, 1 double crochet into the last chain. But we don't want to finish it. We want to leave those last 2 loops on your hook because we're going to change colors now. So cut a long tail as long as you want your tassels to be, or even a little bit longer. And get your next color of yarn. Now make a loop and measure it so your tail is about the same length as your other tails. And put that loop onto your hook. Hold those tails down, give it a pinch, and drag that new loop through. So we're going to finish our double crochet with our new color of yarn. And now drop your tail, just holding it along the back of your work, and chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. So turn your work, just slide your hand under your working yarn and turn your work. You can take out those stitch markers now. So now wrap your yarn, and we're going to do a drop stitch, a drop double crochet. So instead of going into our stitch up here, we are going to be going in to that back loop, the same back loop we worked into before, right down here. So we're going to work into our chain for this row. So wrap your yarn and slide that back loop onto your hook. Underneath everything, like that, and 1 double crochet. One double crochet into the next stitch, which is right here. 1 double crochet. Chain 1, skip 1. So we're skipping this middle double crochet for the whole pattern. Wrap your yarn into the stitch right before the space, 1 double crochet. Into that space, we're going to be working into that chain at the very bottom. Wrap your yarn and into that chain, that back loop, just sliding it onto your hook and putting your hook all the way through, just like this, and 1 double crochet. 1 double crochet into the next stitch, which is right there. And chain 1, skip 1. We're going to skip that center double crochet and work into the next. So that we're working into the double crochet right before the space. 1 double crochet. And we're going to work into the space. We're going to go into this back loop down below. Does our hook all the way through, so all of that will be on the top part of our hook. So wrap your yarn and a drop double crochet into that chain underneath the space. And 1 double crochet into the stitch right after the space. So it looks like this, and we're going to keep going, skipping over that middle double crochet. So chain 1, skip 1, and then double crochet into the stitch before the space, drop double crochet into the chain underneath the space, and double crochet into the stitch right after the space. So wrap your yarn, double crochet into the stitch before the space, wrap your yarn, double crochet into the chain underneath the space, and double crochet into the stitch right after the space. So you can pause the video and keep working along this row, and I'll meet you when we get to the end. After your last set of 3, you will have this little circle left, this little lump. So our chains count as double crochets in this pattern. So this is our last set of 3, 1, 2, and 3. We're going to skip the center double crochet and use the top of the chain 3 as our 3rd double crochet. So at the end of the row, chain 1, skip 1, and into the top of our chain 3, 2 strands of that chain on the top of our hook, 1 double crochet. But we're not going to finish it. So start your double crochet, wrap and take off 2, leave those last 2 loops on your hook. Now go ahead and cut your yarn, leaving a long tail for your tassels. Make a loop of yarn, leaving the same length of tail. Slip it onto your hook, and I know we're not changing colors, but I do want these tassels started. So that's why I have cut my yarn and rejoining. So finish with your new yarn. Hold it all down at the back of your work and chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. Turn your work, and this is what we're going to be doing for the entire scarf, the whole pattern. So we're always going to start with a chain 3 and turn, a drop double crochet into this stitch. So now we're going to be working right into this stitch right here. So wrap your yarn, 2 strands of that stitch on the top of your hook, 1 drop double crochet, and into the next stitch, 1 double crochet. Chain 1, skip 1, always skipping that drop double crochet in the row below, and into the first double crochet before the space, 1 double crochet. Wrap your yarn, 1 double crochet into the stitch below the space. It's going to be doing our drop double crochet down here. There is our drop double crochet. And our last double crochet into the first stitch after the space. Just like that. So chain 1, skip 1, wrap your yarn into the second stitch or that first stitch before the space, 1 double crochet. Wrap your yarn, 1 double crochet into the stitch below the space, down here. That's our drop double crochet. And 1 double crochet into the next stitch. So you can pause the video and keep working along, and I'll meet you when you get to the end of your row. To finish your row, chain 1, skip 1, so we're skipping that last double crochet, and we're going to work in to the top of that chain 3, just right there. So 1 double crochet into the top of the chain 3 to finish, but we're going to leave that stitch on our hook. So we're going to leave those last 2 loops on our crochet hook. Measure out your tail. So if you want long tassels, leave longer tails. If you want short tassels, leave a shorter tail. And now pause the video and keep crocheting 1 row of the white and 2 rows of your color, 1 row of white, 2 rows of your color, all the way up until you have finished your 5 colors. After you have finished the second row of your last color, we're going to do our very last row a little bit different and leave the same long tail you always have been, and just finish that stitch with your neutral color yarn. Drop your tail and pinch them down at the back of your work and chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. Turn your work Into the stitch at the bottom of the space, 1 drop double crochet. And now into the next 3 stitches, 1 double crochet into each. 1, 2, and 3. Into the stitch below the space, 1 drop double crochet. And now 1 double crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. So now pause the video and keep working along. 1 drop double crochet into the stitch below the space, and 1 double crochet into each stitch until you get to the next space. So we're doing the exact same thing as the rows below, except we're not chaining and skipping anything. Everything is a double crochet or a drop double crochet. So pause the video and keep working along, doing a double crochet into each stitch and a drop double crochet into the stitch below each space, all the way along until you reach the end of your row. At the end of your row, do your last double crochet into your chain. And chain 1 to secure your yarn. Cut your tail, leaving it the same length as your other tails, or how long you want your tassels to be. Pull your hook up and your yarn through, and snug that down to secure. Now, no sewing in your ends. We are ready to make tassels. So now go ahead and take your pairs of yarn where we changed colors and give those a little knot. Just 1 little school knot all the way along, just to secure our tails, just like that. And now go ahead and get your yarn and get a book that is about the length that you want your tassels to be, and preferably a hardcover so it has this little groove along the top. That is a great place to slide your scissors under. So now grab your yarn, and you want 6 wraps. So that is 1 wrap, 2 wraps, and you want 6 of these per tassel. And now you can just take your scissors and slide them underneath that little space in your hardcover book. And there are your tassels. So now go ahead and do this for each of your 5 colors. So we're going to alternate our tassels, white color, white color, white color, all the way along. So starting and ending with white. So get your 6 strands of white yarn, as even as you can, and just hold it open with your thumb. Grab a smaller crochet hook. I'm using a 4.5. And slide it into this very first spot right on the edge. And you want to make sure you have 2 or 3 strands of yarn on the top of your hook. Get those loops on your hook, pull them a bit tight so they're as small as they can be. You have some tension, and pull it through that stitch. Just like that. And make a big loop about 4 centimeters or 1.5 inches. Grab those tails and bring it through, so like a big slip stitch with all of that yarn. And snug it down. Then just give every strand a little bit of a pull, just to make sure you don't have any loops waiting on this side. So now next is going to go right into the center of this colored stripe. So I'm just going to pop my hook in right here. I want to make sure I have 2 strands on the top of my hook, and I want to get my blue yarn ready. So 6 strands, and again, just keep it on your thumb. Slide it onto your hook. Pull it down. You want these to be as small as they can be on your hook, so it'll be easier to get it through that chain or that stitch. And now bring them through for 1 or 2 inches. And you can either use your hook or your fingers. Just slide your fingers in or your hook and bring those tails through. So 1 nice little slip stitch. If you have your other tails nearby, you can poke those through also that match your tassel. Like that. And snug it down. Again, grab your tails individually just to make sure you don't have any super loose ones. You don't have to pull them like really, really, really hard, but you just want to make sure they're not gaping or you don't have a big loop of yarn. So there's 2. Next is going to be white. We're just going to go into that center stitch. Lots of yarn on the top of our hook. Get that tail out of our way. Loops of yarn on your hook and bring it through. Bring it up, and you can just slip stitch with all that yarn to join, or you can use your fingers to slip stitch if you don't want to use your hook. Go ahead and snug that down. You can use a smaller hook now, just insert it back down into that slip knot you just made. Grab your tail and bring it through. Next is going to be green, then white, yellow, white, orange, white, pink, and we'll end with white. So you can just pause the video and keep working along, putting your 6 strands of yarn into the appropriate spot, making sure you have 2 or 3 strands of the stitch of your scarf on the top of your hook, and I'll meet you when you have all your tassels joined. Now to trim your tassels, you can use some masking tape and just line up where your shortest ones are, keeping it parallel to your scarf, and just kind of tape those down to hold them. That little guy should be in there too. And then one more piece a little higher up, just at the tip of those short ones, like this guy right there, these ones over here. And then just to check, you can use a measuring tape and just measure that all your tassels are about the same length. Now taking a larger pair of scissors, sharp ones if you have, and just slide in between the tape right along your table. Just like that. And you can just slide your scissors again just to see if you've forgotten any. Nope, came through great. Now we can take off our lower masking tape with our ends on it. Isn't that cute? And our top tape. And there are our cute trimmed tassels. And most of your ends didn't make a mess. So go ahead and do that on the other side, and now you are finished. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial as much as I did. I would love to see how yours turned out. You can find me on social media. All of those links are in the description box down below. And if you haven't joined or subscribed to this channel, go ahead and click those buttons under this video right now. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments down below, and we'll see you in the next video. Stay hooked.